All right, yo, so if we're ready, I believe it is episode 9.
We recording?
Yeah, we are recording, Snuk.
Who we got today, Stiz?
Today we have, it's a special Halloween weekend edition of Stuck on Stuff. Happy Halloween, everybody. We have author of the Monsterland book, Encounters with UFOs, Bigfoot, and Orange Orbs, Ronny LeBlanc.
What's up? What's going on, brother?
What's up? How are you guys?
What up, Ronny? Thank you so much for coming in, bro.
Of course, anytime.
Yo, I think this is like the first legit author we've had.
Definitely the first author.
Yeah, we've never had an author
Probably
in studio.
won't ever again.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
They're gonna see this one and be like, all set. So, Ronny, talk to us about this book, Monsterlands, bro. Like, how did you even start to write this thing?
You know,
and why?
And why?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've always been into this stuff ever since I was a kid. You know, movies, books, and just obsessed by it. And then I had a friend that I hooked up with that actually found these tracks, barefoot tracks of footprints in Leominster State Forest. And I went back with him to kind of check it out because he was, you know, this doesn't seem to be like a person. This is kind of, and I've heard these stories growing up as a kid. And so we went back and checked it out and saw these footprints that look like it's like a Bigfoot. And I started digging into more of the history of the area, and then more and more people started coming forward with stories, and I was like, "This is something here."
And how old are you at this point?
Well, this was back in 2010 that with the tracks.
Not too long ago.
Yeah. And I had done all this research before, so they kind of came to me like, "Hey, can you kind of shed some light on this? Does this kind of follow through with?" And that kind of moment propelled me to kind of put stuff together, pull all these stories together. And I was talking, you know, maybe can pull a book about this. And I had no intention of writing a book.
Yeah.
But what was kind of freaking me as I was getting into the research of it, I kind of remembered a few years back I had gone to New York for a business trip, and I was working for the Boston Herald. And I went into Barnes & Noble bookstore, and I was looking at the paranormal section and checking out these books. And I noticed this girl comes in, and she's kind of watching me. She's all dressed in black and slowly keeps on inching towards me, towards the books. And I kept on looking over, and she's like, "Hey, you know, all that stuff is crap, right? There's some good stuff in there, but most of it's crap." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I go, "I've kind of always been into this stuff." And she's looking at me. She's like, "I noticed your aura. You have this like bright aura. It's like clear." And she's like, "You know, they look for people like us." I'm like, "Who looks for people like us?"
I'm already
some random girl in the bookstore. I'm like,
and so she looks up to the ceiling, almost like them. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Fucking creeped out right now. So 30 seconds in.
She begins to tell me, she's like, you know, I have friends, I've had abduction experiences, and UFOs are real, and all this other stuff. And she's like, there's something about you though. She's like, you're gonna write a book.
Holy
and I was like,
shit.
And I said, no.
Hand to God.
Swear to God. I said, listen, I went to film school. I would want to write like a movie, and that's kind of like I think where I would go with this. She's like, no. You're going to write something that's going to shed the light on this a little bit, help people understand, and that's going to be what you're going to do.
That's insane.
She's like, you're not ready yet. It's still a couple years away. I was like, okay,
Holy
like
shit.
whatever.
Wow.
That shit came flooding back to me as I was like, oh my God. I mean, hair on the back of my neck went up.
Creep shit.
And, you know, and we'll talk about Tom DeLonge too, about his whole UFO thing, but it kind of, I said, you know,
well, the book touches on everything, though, right? It's not just UFO.
Right. It basically, I try to focus on the Bigfoot stories, UFO stories.
And this is New England specific.
Yeah, I try to focus on Mass, and there's definitely some stories like in Maine and different things, but I really try to focus on Massachusetts as a whole, because if you can just zero in on that and all the shit's going on, and then you pull that magnifying glass back, there's pockets like this all throughout the country, and it just duplicates itself that you kind of go, what the hell?
I will say there is something to be said about numerous people like kind of seeing the same stuff, reporting the same stuff, and Massachusetts, New England as a whole is like one of the oldest places in America.
That's where we first settled. So there's a lot of history.
So a lot of history right here.
A lot of like old, like fucking haunted like spots in like Connecticut and shit, like in the middle of like just crazy shit like that.
Yep. Like I did a tour of the mansions in Newport, Rhode Island. Oh, you said Connecticut. I don't know why.
Well, whatever. It's New England.
But yeah, that's crazy. So wait, so she says she's like, you're gonna write this book. You're like, yeah, whatever. And then a couple years later, you find yourself, you're like, so how did that happen? A couple years later, you're like,
yeah. So when I was going to Boston every morning, go to work, I'm taking the train, so I'm reading all this stuff. So I started taking notes down. I started noticing sightings that happened in Massachusetts and different things. And the whole Monsterland thing, which is this area in Leominster that people have had crazy experiences. People have seen UFOs. They've seen Bigfoots, balls of light. There's just this long history.
Within what? Like geographically?
Like,
within, like,
I would say
many miles or what?
I would say like a square mile spot.
So it's a very specific spot.
Yeah.
And all these things.
Yeah. And back in the day, it was, all kind of woods and everything else. It's gotten more developed now where there's a Walmart there. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting that runs through Monsterland is these huge power lines. And power lines have been connected to people seeing UFOs. Mm. Now, this is no lie.
I've heard that.
This guy passed away. He's no longer here, but he used to live down the street from me. He would sit in his rocking chair at 3 or 4 in the morning, every morning with a cup of coffee. And he had a great view of the power lines in Monsterland. And he said almost every freaking night, UFOs were coming over, hovering over the power lines like they're charging and then fucking take off. And now,
zero chance I could live there.
Monsterland got its name because people were seeing a Bigfoot, and I had no idea why they called it Monsterland. Just thought it was this some scary place that your parents would say,
right.
If you're out of hand, we're gonna take you down here. Yeah. And but it has this history that goes back to 1884. A farmer saw this Bigfoot just walking on 2 legs, and once the Bigfoot realized it was spotted, it dropped into all 4s and ran off like a bear, like an animal. Mm. That same area, like that same year, a farmer watched one of his cattle get grabbed for the Bigfoot. That same Bigfoot ripped to shreds and took off. So
there's 100% Bigfoot in Massachusetts, is what you're saying.
They're all over, and we've always kind of thought that people, Northern California, hear those stories,
right? Because of like the deep forests and all that shit, yeah.
But they're like Florida and Ohio and New Hampshire. I mean. And we can talk about too why people seem to come in and out and people can't find them.
Right.
That's another element.
Well, I don't think it's too far of a stretch of the imagination to think. Not. All right, humans evolved from apes, so maybe there is like some
lost chain,
that like still exists. Like I don't think that's too far fetched.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I grew up always thinking Bigfoot was definitely a thing, right? Do you
believe in this shit?
I believe
Where
that.
Are you on
all right,
this?
so coming up, I always thought Bigfoot was a thing, right? And then as I got older, like as I've been an adult,
the wig is just the best thing.
Oh my God. I'm trying to take him serious as he's telling stories about Bigfoot.
All right, check it out. So this is my only thing as I become an adult. The carcass. There's no carcass. There's no dead ones, right? Yeah. So I don't know if you remember this, probably 7-8 years ago back, there was a hoax.
Yes.
And I was like, yo, they found the fucking carcass. Finally, they were going to do the tests on it. Yeah. All this shit. They tested the hair. Some fucking dirtbags made a fake.
Put it in a cooler with a costume.
It was like, what was it, like a pig's body or something?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So I remember this. I was excited when I seen that shit. And then
where was
it was
this?
some bullshit.
This was
Oregon, someplace weird.
I want to say it was something like Georgia or something weird.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, some hunters
But
found
people,
it,
like, it was making the news and shit, like CNN, all that shit. It was like, all right, yo, we might have something here. And of course, it was some fuck shit. So then once that happened, I was like, all right, like, come on. All these years, not one fucking dead body. Like, what happens? Just the animals eat this shit so quick? It's like,
yeah, that's definitely why.
And believe me, I want to, because I'm very open. I'm like, I'm with a lot of this shit, especially the UFO shit. I'm into all this shit. But the Bigfoot one is like, there's got to be a fucking dead body somewhere. All these years. What do you think?
I think you need to have one. And I think when I started writing this book, my belief was that it was and is an animal.
Okay.
But after doing more research, it's something else. Because
really, what do you mean something else?
It's leaving physical traces, right? It's leaving footprints. People are having visual sightings.
Right.
Police officers, military, credible witnesses.
Credible people, yeah.
Okay. But time and time again, you hear the fucking same story of this posse of guys with guns, and they're tracking this creature, and they got it cornered, and it disappears.
Right.
Or, the tracks just end in this field and then just disappear, like it just fucking went up into the sky.
Right.
So as you start digging a little bit more, you see that the UFO stories and the Bigfoot stories seem to happen in the same areas, and they seem to happen around the same times that people see these sightings. So people are seeing UFOs. A couple days later, they're seeing these weird creatures in the woods, or they're hearing stuff. And
so there's like the common denominators there.
There's a connection there. And so, you know, what we've always heard about UFOs and aliens is like they can't get here. They're light years away. And, well, if you're talking about dimensions and that kind of shit, they can just pop in and pop out.
Let's talk about dimensions.
Yeah.
What is that place? I've heard you mention it before.
Mystery Hill?
No. There's a ranch.
Oh, yes.
What's the name of it? Jesus.
Yes.
It's in Utah.
Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch.
That shit sounds like I would never go there.
So, and that's so funny because I'm really into this shit too. I really, really am. I would definitely consider myself a skeptic. You know what I mean? But I'm very into it. I find it super interesting. So Skinwalker Ranch, I remember doing a lot of research about this for some reason, and it's this ranch in Utah, and a guy lived there, and you know what cattle mutilations are? So like there kept being these things like cattle mutilations where a farmer would go out and his animals would be completely
That's
gutted,
like along
bro.
the lines of like chupacabra and shit like that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Like gutted, all their organs gone.
Yeah.
Like
and
laser
not
precision, too.
Yeah, like laser precision cuts, not like, you know, bite marks and so how did the dimension part get into it? So I think what he was starting to say was like every once in a while, like a portal would open up.
Right.
And these things would be skinwalkers is what they were calling them, would be able to just walk through these portals and walk back. I don't know.
I never heard of that.
Well, the Native Americans, they talk about the skinwalkers and that they could, you know, basically they could take form of
shapeshifters.
Exactly.
Almost.
Take form of an animal or different things. And Skinwalker Ranch has had this long history of, it seems to be that the property itself is on like a portal area. And, you know, the UFOs, any kind of paranormal stuff, but just really weird that Robert Bigelow, who's a billionaire who owned that whole Choice Hotel chain, that he recently came out a couple months ago talking about, I believe in aliens. They're probably already here and this and that. He recently just sold, he owned the ranch for like 10 years, and his team was doing research about the paranormal. And then they kind of sold it and closed shop. So I don't know if they discovered something and figured a few things out, or if it was just kind of hit or miss. But from people that have researched, Christopher O'Brien's another author who's written about it, there's a lot to do. There's a lot going on in that place. And it talks about, it's almost like these different portal areas, right? We have Air Force bases all around the country.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than a coincidence that these places are near all these hotspots.
Right.
You know, and it's almost like you start to go, okay, do they build these bases here because of the shit that's kind of going on? Or does it help to kind of cover if they have technology that they're testing out? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, because that's the other side of the coin. You could say people are seeing stuff in these areas, and that's what it is, though. It's the government's new planes.
And now we got drones and this stuff.
Oh, yeah, drones.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then I was thinking about the power lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were saying, like, a lot of activity happens near power lines. I think maybe a skeptic could say that maybe the electro waves or the electromagnetic waves that these things are generating could have some impact on the human brain, could cause you to see things, could cause you to hallucinate maybe.
Right.
And I'm sure half of it is that, or if not more.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing with that is, that could be possible if you're in that vicinity. But then if you have people that are seeing the same shit and they're actually miles away,
right,
that kind of goes out the door. But
that's true.
I don't know. There's I think we're at an interesting point in time where, one, you know, more and more people are open to kind of believing this stuff, and we have access now to information, Google and everything else, that people are, I think, kind of seeing some of the truth. So I think that we're coming to a point where more and more is going to get revealed, but I think it's going to take like this huge mass site, something so significant that everyone goes, undeniable.
I can't even imagine if tomorrow we woke up and on CNN it said, alien spaceship has landed. Right. We don't know what they want. The ship is here. We don't know. We don't know what to do. How do you think the government and society would handle that?
I'd be more worried about what Trump's going to do.
Yeah, I'd be way more scared about that.
But no, I agree.
Let's just hope that it happens, and you know. a few more years.
Can I read you a headline that this was from CNN yesterday, Friday, October 27th. Mystery object may be our first visitor from another solar system. Astronomers around the world are trying to track down a small, fast-moving object that is zipping through our solar system. Is it a comet, an asteroid? NASA's not sure. The space agency doesn't even know where it came from, but it's not behaving like the local space rocks, and that means it may not be from our solar system. If that's confirmed, NASA says it would be the first interstellar object to be observed and confirmed by astronomers. So I think what that's more or less saying, though, the universe is
so vast.
It's vast. It's like, isn't it? Is it infinite or is it not infinite? I think it. I'm not sure.
It seems to be infinite because it just keeps on going, and the universe is supposed to be continually expanding.
Oh yeah, that's right too. Crazy. So either way, it's mega big. So I think what this kind of thing is saying is that just like a rock, some sort of rock from not in our solar system, has now entered our solar system and we don't know what it is. I don't think that necessarily
what it could
means
do.
like
UFO or
a UFO or a fucking or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, math says that it's like statistically impossible that we are the only living people in this.
I think you would be dumb to think that we're the only.
Right.
This shit here on Earth that we don't even know about yet.
Yeah.
Our oceans,
the oceans
85, 9% have not even explored. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So deep. What the fuck is down there? And speaking of oceans, I actually think, and I've seen some shit on this and read some shit that people are theorizing that some of these fucking UFOs are like fucking literally dipping down there.
Absolutely.
And hiding out way down there where we don't have access to and shit.
Talk about
because the space, they come right fucking up. You heard about this?
There's been so many stories of naval officers, too, seeing these UFOs come out of the water.
Right.
Shoot straight up.
Yes, that's what it was. It was actual fucking, it was military people in the fucking middle, like they're out there.
Yeah.
Like, and
in
so
the middle of the ocean.
Right, like there would only be another craft if it was them.
Yeah.
Like,
Here's the other thing that's pretty wild about this. It doesn't even have to be an ocean either, right? Like you have these lakes. So Wachusett Reservoir, and I shit you not, my wife has seen this twice now, and this is pretty wild. So she was at the time working at Wachusett Country Club, and they're closing up at night and they're cleaning outside, and they have an unbelievable view of the course, but then you could see Wachusett Reservoir really clearly.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 4th of July. They're looking, her and another friend, worker, they're looking, and they off to the left, and they see the fireworks going up. Then off to the right, they see this green ball of light coming down from the sky heading towards the reservoir. And the girl's like, there's a firework, but going in the wrong direction. So Amy pulls out her phone, which has a full battery. She thinks, they're like, oh my God, is there a plane crashing? Like, what's going on? So she pulls up her phone. She starts filming this thing as it's going towards the reservoir. Her phone, full battery, goes zoop, shuts off.
wow.
This thing hits the water without a splash, a wake, or a sound, and just goes into the water.
Right.
So they're all like, what the, freaking out. A week later, she's out there again, now with like 5 other people around the same time. Here comes a green light again, ball light coming down, and they're all watching this like, holy crap. It goes right into the water again. Same spot, no wake, no splash, no sound. Now, here's the thing that's even crazier. The friends, they all go inside, and she's cleaning up. And there's all these different trees, and the Wachusett Reservoir has this long history of people seeing gray aliens peeking out behind the trees. Her, she calls me, and she's outside. She's like, Ronnie, there's something behind the tree, and it keeps on peeking at me. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she explains about seeing this light and everything. And she sees this small figure, she goes, it looks like a freaking gray alien, peeking from behind the tree, looking at her, and then going back.
Holy shit.
She took off so fast, but I'm like, babe, there's a long history of people seeing this stuff of gray aliens peeking behind the trees. It's like, so that connection of that light,
right?
It's like, so there's a lot more
freaky
stories
shit
just in that
on.
area.
So what do you think? How do you think though? Really, how do you think human civilization would take that?
Honestly,
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
They have they have a fucking thing down for.
I think that
they have to.
They have to.
I think that you have a certain segment of the population that would go complete ape shit and do whatever the hell they want, because then it's like, oh, there's no God, there's no consequence. You know, I feel like you would almost have this mass like
God thing too. I didn't even think about that too. Yeah. Like, but I mean, does that necessarily disprove God? I don't know.
Because isn't there God people that say that there's mentions of aliens in the book and shit?
I want to touch on what he said. Like, I'm sure you've heard about this. Like, in like the pyramids and shit, they found like hieroglyphics that they don't. It kind of looks like the Egyptians were talking about these ships that were coming down.
Correct.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But what were you just gonna say?
I was talking about
civilization and God.
Yes.
Like that. Would that discredit God?
Well, in the beginning of Genesis in the Bible, it says God created the worlds.
Plural?
With an S.
Plural.
Really?
And so what you have to think about that is we instantly go worlds, planets.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily could be the case.
Right.
Worlds could be dimensions.
Yeah.
Created the different worlds.
Right.
And I mean, if you look at it, we have animal like ants, right? They're with us, but they on another, not necessarily dimension, but they have, you know, there's all this intersecting going on.
Their own
here.
world.
Yeah. And I firmly believe when people when they pass on, it doesn't end. I feel like this is kind of like a phase, like, and then we go to the next thing because people always talk about the loved ones have passed and they're gone, but then there's still this interaction with this world. So where are they?
Right.
In this other world.
So that's a whole nother thing too. That's like,
but it's all tied in.
And shit. And
it is all
tied in.
Which I do want to talk about.
Let's get into that. You ever seen one?
This is a whole Halloween episode. Oh, and real quick, I want to say this episode of Stuck on Stuff is brought to you by Randy's. Go to randys.com.
Yes.
Put in the code word grimy, get 10% off. They have ill vapes.
Awesome.
Ron, you don't smoke, right?
Pass that over.
Do you?
Yeah.
There you go, brother.
Stiz, I want to hear.
You got to hold down the button, Ronnie.
I want to hear. Do you have a ghost or a UFO story?
Okay.
For you personally?
I don't think I have a UFO story. I don't think I've ever seen one. And I don't think I don't have any paranormal ghost experiences. And to be honest with you, the way I feel about it now, where I'm at in my life right now, I kind of am in this atheist kind of place. I am. And I'll tell you, I was an altar boy. I went to Catholic school for most of my life.
Yep.
Like religion was like my favorite subject. And then I discovered people like Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris, and they made a shit ton of sense talking about how like the Catholic religion, like Jesus was the Son of God. He was born on December 25th, the three wise men that brought him gifts, and he came from a mother that was a virgin that got pregnant without anybody having sex with her, right? Turns out that a shit ton of religions way before Christianity have all these same details.
Zoroastrianism, it's like 1,000 years before Christianity. Yep.
So the more and
more...
So
they plagiarize it?
I think the more and more I read up about it and I was learning stuff, I came to believe that religion, Christianity, was this man-made
population control.
Was population control.
Yeah.
That the movie The Book of Eli, you ever see that with Denzel Washington? So the whole reason why that dude wants the fucking Bible, because all the Bibles in the world have been destroyed. It's like after in an apocalyptic time. And Denzel plays this character. He has the only Bible that was saved. And he guards it with his life, and he's like this fucking ninja, and he says that God told him to go to this place and get it to where it could do good. And the main bad guy in the movie is like this crazy bad guy, and he's trying to find a Bible anywhere in the world. And he's killing everybody in its path. And the reason he wants the Bible is because he knows it could help him control the world.
Right, so that's a dope theory, the population control theory. I never
exactly.
Makes sense.
So no, I've never, and I think I'm kind of at the point now where I think that when you die, it's just kind of like a light bulb that turns out like nothing. And people are like, "Well, what do you mean? Like, what did it feel like before you were born? Right? Nothing.
Right.
You just don't exist. That's it. You know what I mean? So I think like I
would go back and forth because
I think that's what happens. You just don't exist.
You don't exist. You're just fucking in the dirt. But then. I believe in spirits and ghosts and shit like that. So it's got to be one or the other, right? I can't just think you fucking die, but then also like believe in fucking like spirits.
Well, why do you believe in spirits?
I just do. You ever get a feeling sometimes you're like fucking alone.
You just know, right?
You just know. I'll be in a room somewhere, specific places that I've lived in or whatever. One in particular that you just don't feel right, or like you feel like somebody's always watching you and nobody's there. I've had shit like that. And just in general, I believe people's stories who have like that I've seen on like certain like documentaries or shows, like, you know, seeing fucking ghosts or, you know, I watch some crazy shit. Like I watched the show The Haunted, where it's like crazy. They take real stories, but then they have like actors do the bullshit, you know. But they're real stories. I believe a lot of this shit, though.
Real stories.
They're real stories. That, you know what I'm saying? They're unexplained, the shit that you can't unexplain. And, you know, a lot of times they have these the priests will come in and all this crazy shit happens and fucking, now the priest is getting fucked up and thrown up against walls and shit. Like crazy shit. Like I believe all that. So I can't believe in all that shit and be like, oh yeah, you just fucking die and you're in the dirt. It's weird.
Have you ever so you just the feeling?
I mean, nothing
like
crazy. It's more of a feeling like than I've. Now with the UFOs though, we've all seen UFOs because people forget sometimes that UFO just means an unidentified flying object. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're seeing a fucking green man fly across the sky. It just I've seen shit a million times like, what the fuck is that? And whatever, a few minutes later, I just fucking keep walking and forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a UFO.
Yeah, that's true.
In the truest form. Now, obviously, we never seen no shit fucking Independence Day, just fucking craziness. But, you know, off the top, I don't think I've seen nothing crazy that makes me. But people I know have and that I trust.
That you trust.
Yeah.
Here's one thing I would ask both of you guys to try to do, because there's something about intent and this thing called synchronicity, right? Where say you're thinking about a coyote, for some reason, coyote runs in your mind, you're driving down the street, all of a sudden a coyote runs across your car, and you're like, what the hell was that?
That's
that was
happened
weird.
all of us
well, that's
before,
kind of the whole basis of The Secret, too, that movie The Secret, where the whole secret was like, you know, you wake up every day and you tell yourself, I'm going to be a successful rapper.
Right.
I'm going to be a successful rapper. And if you keep saying that,
The law of attraction.
The law of attraction, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you will generate that.
I am going to be a successful podcast host.
So we are a
transition into radio
host.
One day.
So this is why I'm bringing this up, because people will almost like, there's Ben Rich, who started Skunk Works, where they created the SR-71 Blackbird, all these.
What's Skunk Works?
So Skunk Works was like the government's Area 51, like Groom Lake, where they came up with all the new technology, right? And it was very super secret. But people asked him at I think it was UCLA, he was talking to a bunch of PhD students, and someone had asked about the UFO phenomenon, and he said, he goes, ESP. If you study that, you'll understand what this whole thing means.
Yeah.
So it has something to do with consciousness, but also I think the connection and intent. And the reason I bring this up, because I had done this show up in New Hampshire, this TV show, and one of the girls that was working on the set afterwards came up to me, and she had like tears in her eyes, right? And then she was kind of like, they want you to know. I'm like, oh my God, here we go again, right? She's like, they want you to know, that you can do these different things. You can learn to go invisible and all this other stuff. I'm like, first off, who's they? She's like the Sasquatch people, like,
oh,
and I was like, okay, whatever. And so I met this girl, and I found out she's like this energy healer, okay, like Reiki and all this stuff, and talked to me about the balls of light and orbs. And so she's like, look at this. So she pulls out her phone. She's showing me pictures of orbs. And what's wild, she shows me this one video inside her house, and it's all kind of dark, and all of a sudden you see this orb flying around in the house. And she goes, you can do this. Go out at night where in your backyard or wherever where there's not much light. Tell them you want to see them. Start filming and they'll show up. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I go home. I had to go pick up my kids from my parents' house, right? Now, my sister passed away like 3 years ago from cancer, and she passed away at my parents' house.
R.I.P.
So, I kind of connected it to this, but I don't know. But anyways, go to pick up the kids. It's dark. They get in the car, and I thought about what she said. So they're in the car, and the thing started, and I pull my phone out, and I say out loud, I'm like, all right, Sherry told me, speak out loud, whatever intent and everything, you guys will kind of show up. So I said, show up so I can take a picture of you. So I took one picture, two picture, no flash, third one, fourth one, and then the fifth one, and I didn't look, I just kind of turned and I hit it. But all of a sudden there was this bright flash, and I just put the phone in my pocket. I didn't even look at it. I'm like, I didn't want to be disappointed. I didn't want to, whatever. I just put it in my pocket. We got home. Kids get in the house. I pull out the phone, and I'm flipping through the first 4 photos. There's nothing. I get it once my phone's charged up. But the next one, and there's this white orb streaking across the screen just at that very time that I said this. I go in and I send her a message on Facebook and I say, oh my God, I just caught, I went outside and blah, blah, blah. She responds back and says, your name came in my head about 2 minutes ago. And she's like, she works with like the angels in the different realms and all this stuff. And they're the ones that said, he's going to be contacting you in a second here because of
Goosebumps, kid.
And I was like, what? And I sent her the photo. She's like, yep, you got a picture, a picture of this. And she's like, these orbs, they're balls of energy. Some have spirits attached or other kind of beings attached to them. Yeah. But some of them are just basically free-flowing energy. It's almost like, do we turn into that when we go, whatever? But they talk about the Native American shamans who can turn themselves into these balls of light. And it was just freaking crazy. And again, that synchronicity, that timing of that, where I go, you can't deny that timing, that connection. So there's something more to just this being like a fluke. And people are like, is that a bug? I'm like, and I'll show you this. It's just unbelievable, like right across.
When you said you called the girl and she was like, "Nah, I was thinking about you 2 minutes ago," and
she's like,
and she's connected with angels.
She's
That's
like, your name came into my head, like said Ronny LeBlanc, and she's like, when that happens, they're telling me that that person's going to get in contact with me in some way, shape, or form, and here you are, you just sent me a message.
See, I believe that. Do you believe that, Stiz?
I mean, I don't not believe Ronnie,
right?
But the thing is, it's like. It's so like, it's just I kind of like, I need to see to believe.
Of course.
I mean? I am super open to it. I am going to try this one day. This weekend, I am going to try it and just see, because I am very open. I've been to, and just real quick, I was thinking about this while you said that. 21 grams. When a person dies, like if they weigh you now.
Yeah, your soul, right?
Well, I don't know. That's what they say. But at the moment you die and they weigh you, you are 21 grams lighter than when you were just before. So there's actually a movie too called 21 Grams. That's kind of about it. But wow. I've been to like the Lizzie Borden house. I've been to the Danvers State
Why you go to all this shit? And why you so into this shit if you don't even believe this shit?
Well, it's not that I don't believe.
You're dying to see it.
I think I'm dying to see it. Yeah, like I mean, I want to.
I don't want to as much as I believe it.
But who doesn't
see?
Want to
I believe the shit, but I never want to see it. I just want to kind of know that it's there, because if I see it, I'm moving if it's in my spot. Whatever it is I don't know if I truly want to see shit like that.
Who doesn't want to think that when my loved one passes away, that it's not just maybe I'll see them again. Like, yeah, of course,
see, I'm thinking evil shit
that.
Like an idiot. Like I watch too much haunted and shit like that.
Yeah.
I see a lot of the evil ones, but no, you're right. Like on like the good side of shit, maybe it would be dope, or not even see them or the thing, but like a sign, or you'll see something that. And you're like, oh, was that meant to happen from them or something like that along those lines?
And that actually just made me think of this when you were asking me. So I think this is one thing I forgot that happened to me that I can't explain it. So when I was working the morning show on the Hillman Morning Show, there was a guy who would come in. He was a psychic medium.
Yes.
Matt Frazier.
Yeah.
Right.
Matt Frazier. Now I was a fan of the show before I started working there, so I knew this guy. I always loved when he came on because I'm into this type of stuff, right?
Before you go further, how did you feel before you met him about like mediums and shit like that?
The same way I feel now.
Okay.
Skeptical? A little skeptical, I would say, yeah. So he comes in, we're waiting in the cave room back there, like not the studio, but where we wait or whatever. And I'm like, oh, hey, Matt, what's up? Like, yeah, I've heard you before. Like, I'm really into what you do. Like, I don't know. I guess I'd say I'm kind of skeptic. And he's like, oh, you're skeptic? I'm like, yeah, I would say so. So he looks at me and he's like, well, I want to let you know your father's here with you. And I'm like, what? So I have a biological father who was never really in my life. And then And then like my stepdad kind of adopted me.
Right.
So when he first said father, I didn't even think of my biological father. I just immediately thought of my stepdad, and I'm like, oh, well, he's alive. But then like 10 seconds after, it hits me, and I'm like, oh, shit, my real dad is dead. He died when I was like 21. And then he says...
That's number 2 for the show, if we're keeping count for Goosebumps.
No, wait, you ready for this?
Holy shit, Mom Dukes.
Who's that? Oh, Mom Dukes. Then he says, here comes Goosebumps Central. Then he says to me, he goes, he passed away from drugs and alcohol. which is exactly how he passed away.
That's fucking crazy.
And it's like, how would he know that? You can't pull that out of your ass.
So I was going to say, okay, was he on Google before he got here and shit? But then you said what the story was, and this isn't like public, this isn't like in newspapers and shit.
You can't find that.
Right.
You can't find that shit.
That's pretty nuts.
So I don't know.
There's something to that. And there's certain people that are sensitive, right? You have people called empaths. I feel like on some levels I kind of am, because I can kind of pick up on different energy and things like that, but not something that you're like, oh, so-and-so's talking to me. But you're kind of a little bit more sensitive, I think, than other people. And there's different levels of that. And some people actually, like Matt, I believe, I mean, there's just too many. Like, they can do 20 people in a row, and people are like, whoa.
Yeah.
You can do, say different things that kind of like generalizations that make it kind of fit.
Exactly,
but when you're that accurate,
that's what people
You want
say.
to hear something mad weird, too? Like, my ringer's off. That's the craziest shit. I'm not even fucking with you. I'm super on point with shit like that. Dog, my ringer was off.
Ronnie, what's the most, what's the best case thing that you've experienced that was like, holy shit?
For me, I've had so many, like, I think 7 sightings now with the orange orbs. And that is just, every time it's like a little freaky.
Yeah.
I would say the one thing that was just pretty wild, and I kind of realized, I'm like, what am I dealing with?
Right.
Kind of a scenario.
Now, are you scared when you see this shit, or is it a different feeling than that?
It's like, you're not really terrified. You're just kind of like, holy, it's just, when first time I saw him, I kind of had that feeling of, you're seeing something that's not everybody sees this, and this isn't from around here, was what came into my mind. And so what's wild is we go down to the Cape every year for like a week with my parents and stuff, and take the kids down, and I've always heard about how the phenomena follows you. It's like, it doesn't, it's not just almost like, just because this area, it's almost like who you are or whatever, and it kind of follows you.
Because certain people are more susceptible to being fucked with.
Like
I seen that on one of the fucking episodes of these evil motherfuckers. They moved out the crib. It was at the next crib fucking with them.
Yeah, follows them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, we're at this place, we're in Dennisport, and we're at the Three Seasons Resort, which has like this like courtyard, and you have all the rooms, so you have this grass in the middle, and the beach is right there. And we got the kids down. They have like little porch, decks for all the different rooms. We're on the second floor, and they had all these like white tables on the grass. No one's out except about 10 or 12 people that are sitting at this table, and they're kind of away from us. So we sit outside, we start having some drinks, we're playing cards. Then I see the people, and we're talking, and they all get up and they move over at a table right below us. Out of 80 different units in the whole place, I'm like, what the frick? I'm like, this is annoying. So I start kind of talking a little bit quieter or whatever. But beginning of that morning, that day, I just had this like anxious feeling, uneasy feeling, and almost like kind of feeling we're going to see these things again here was kind of what came to my mind, right? So I'm facing the beach. Amy's facing me, and they're right below us, and they're talking or whatever. All of a sudden, we're talking, and I see here comes one orb and another one flying over the ocean, like, and I go, Amy, turn around. She's like, no. She's like, they're here, aren't they? Turns around, sees them. She's like, shit. Then I look down, and the people, and again, when I looked at them, I kind of felt, before I saw the orbs, this thought came to my mind that they're from me, like around where I live, was, again, this thought, and I just kind of came in my mind and let it go. So I'm like, holy crap, there's going to be more. So I ran down to go get my binoculars out of the car, and so I run across the grass, and I see the people at the table, and they all have cameras and binoculars, and they're watching the orange orb, 2 orbs fly by. And they're like, yo, can you see this? I'm like, yeah. And I had just printed the book, and they're like, what is it? I said, those are orange orbs. They're like, what the hell is that?
Like, they're with me.
I'm like, hold on one second. So I ran to my car, I grabbed the book, I come back, and I hand it to one of the guys. He looks at it and freaks and just drops the book and runs. Yeah. Because it's like, I'm like, I literally wrote the book about orbs and all this stuff. And they're like, oh my God, I go, where's this take place? I go, like, Leominster, Massachusetts. Like, we're from Fitchburg. We're from the next town over. Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck? So here, sure enough, here comes 2 more orbs that come flying, following that same path. And they're watching them too. Start trying to take pictures, and they're like, yeah, they were here last night. We're all out. We watched them come through, and here they are again. So, and they had no idea. They'd never seen it before. There was half of the group was believing, half were skeptical. They all saw the same thing. But that, for me, it was just like,
now, what do the skeptical people say that they think they just saw?
I think initially, like, oh, those Chinese lanterns or these, you know,
Right,
and you can tell the difference. You can see the bag, you can see the things flying in the wind like this.
Yeah.
These things are flying they're under intelligent control. They're moving in a direction, and people talk about like ball lightning and all this different stuff. People have seen these. I've seen them during the day, like clear blue sky, and these things are flying. I mean, so there
was a something, I don't know, something happened yesterday, I guess.
Yeah, let's keep it in New England because that was out here, right?
So
what happened yesterday?
During the morning show, all of a sudden the Hillman show started getting calls upon calls, and they were like, "Yo, we see this light flying in the sky," like, and this went on from like 6 in the morning to about 7:30 in the morning, and between that time, the phone lines were lit
from
the whole time.
All different cities, or where was it mostly coming from? The highway,
I think it was right around this area, Brighton.
Okay.
And then you said you talked to someone who witnessed it?
Yeah, so I had my phone went off like at 6 in the morning, and it's like, everyone's calling after seeing a UFO, and it was my friend Jeremy Burby. He's like, I'm looking at it now, you know, like, and he said he was watched this light and just kind of hovering so bright in the sky, just looked big. It was stationary, then it was moving. People talking about seeing planes flying around.
I'm trying to see some Did anybody call up with video footage or anything?
Any video yet.
Fucking dirtbags. We have all these phones. Take your fucking phone out and show me. Channel 7 did a report on it.
Really?
Yeah. And people were seeing it from all over.
Oh, you mean NBC Boston? Okay, so now.
Yeah.
Oh, WMUR Stiz.
WMUR.
So it was seen all the way down like Leominster, all the way up like coming into Boston. And what's interesting is one of the callers to the Hillman show yesterday was saying that the thing was hovering, and then at 1 second it just took off. It looked like it went like 10,000 miles an hour.
That's what they all say usually.
So for me, that's not a helicopter. That's not necessarily a drone that can take off.
How long did it? How long was it there hovering?
At least a half an hour.
That's crazy. So there's definitely thousands of people that took a picture of it.
Right.
At least.
And you got to go, you know, is it a planet? Is it Venus, Jupiter? You know, something
that
during this time that it's kind of visible and more bright in the sky.
People are saying the International Space Station, for whatever reason, is visible right now.
Gotcha. So
and there has been astronauts too that say that they've seen stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
That's the other thing
Gordon
too. Like,
Cooper,
incredible people.
Right.
Gordon Cooper, who is, I believe he's passed away now, but he was tasked. They were in Nevada somewhere, and again, this could be a test vehicle or something, but they were told to set up some cameras, and they watched a UFO come and landing gear in the desert. They filmed it, and then it took off, and they sent the video or the film at that time to the FBI, whoever it was, and they never got it back, and they said, don't talk about it. But so many astronauts have actually seen stuff.
This is credible shit. So astronauts, we talked earlier about the Navy.
Oh, there's been police.
Like the Air Force dudes, like, yo, what?
Pilots.
You know, when they released the like audio and these dudes are going back and forth from plane to plane, like, I don't know what it is. What the fuck that is, but they know it wasn't them. Like.
Here's another kind of suspect kind of thing. So if you think about where we were as a society, you know, in 1920, whatever's, right? Like, it's just very primitive, right? Not a lot of technology, no fucking computers, no nothing like that.
Yep.
Right.
The Roswell crash happens, which is like the most famous UFO crash. That happened in 47. 1947.
You believe in all that shit, right?
Well, no, I don't know. I don't know, but I will say this: right after that crash supposedly happens, and the government supposedly takes this spaceship and maybe aliens, whatever, and does whatever. Our technology from that point on,
right.
Boom, fucking skyrocketed, and that's documented. That's proved.
Yeah.
There's the guy Philip Corso. He was a colonel in the Army, and he was part of the Foreign Technology Division. His job, he wrote a book called The Day After Roswell, and basically he was tasked with taking the technology from the recovered craft, like fiber optics, lasers, all these different things.
Just the piece of the craft itself, they said it was like fire resistant. It was like all this crazy shit that we didn't have yet.
So his job was to basically give all this technology, gift it to certain American companies so that they can then, you know, patent it and give us the edge. And that's basically what happened. If you can find this book, it's unbelievable. The guy passed away, but he put all this on his like deathbed and talked about certain companies like General Electric or whoever. He has a long list and what technologies they have now. And you could see, like you said, Stiz, we took off like crazy. We became the superpower in the world because of our technology. How did we have that leap unless that we, gain some kind of technology?
And that's what they gave us. That's just what they gave us. They kept the good shit for themselves.
Oh, yeah,
right.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing, I spent literally, Snuk, I think, remember that text you sent me the other day and you were like, are you alive? You sent me a text that weekend.
Yeah.
That day, I went down a fucking rabbit hole of pyramids and how the pyramids were built. And I just can't understand how they are perfectly aligned with Orion, the Orion constellation. I mean, fucking perfectly.
How is that?
Yeah, how, Sway?
How is that possible, right? Unless someone
has that. And they were found in numerous. It's not like they were just in Egypt. There's pyramids on the other side of the fucking world.
Well, and the crazy thing is also the view of them from space, right? Don't they like fucking align or do some crazy shit?
They are literally.
If a person down here was building these shits, there's no way.
If you take
measured perfectly,
they are measured perfectly. If you take the longest circumference around the world and then the longest width of it, like the point where those two things meet is Egypt, where the Great Pyramids are. There's some crazy shit going on with those pyramids.
And there's supposed to be
that's alien shit right there.
The Sphinx, supposedly, Edgar Cayce, he was a famous psychic who all of his shit came true. Like, he said that there's below the Sphinx paw, the right paw, is like this library of secrets, of books, and basically kind of maybe shedding some light on where we came from, because we don't know this, right? Where we came from, where do we go after this? Those are that's a little freaky.
Yeah. Nobody knows for sure,
right?
As far as proof and facts.
But we do know that,
that'd be crazy. They were all under there, and somehow we fucking. Because, at that time, if they fucking built or did something crazy like that, but they were like, all right, we're not going to be here forever. Like, let's leave certain things behind for them to see in the future or whatever.
And like I said, the hieroglyphics that they found that looks kind of like an alien.
What always interests me, right? Hieroglyphics, and it looks primitive. But what are we doing now with emoticons? They're
emojis,
right? I mean, it's
we're going backwards almost.
But it's almost like it is, it's like a simplified language, but it's actually kind of advanced, even though it's like, you know what I mean?
It's advanced.
There's a weird
it's
connection.
Quicker. It's faster.
Yeah. That always I do not understand how for the life of me how they like what I was gonna say, contrary to what creationists believe, who believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old. Like we found fossils from humans that are
that shit don't make no sense.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of years old.
I got a question. I'm from the 978 area.
Yeah.
Do you know any crazy? Have you heard of any crazy shit happening like out in my neck of the woods? Like, I know a guy, he's a musician, his name is Gage. Shout out to Gage. He claims to have seen like numerous fucking like UFO shits all the time in like the Lawrence area, Haverhill area, Methuen, like in that area. Do you ever get anything out in that area? Because I usually don't hear much shit unless it's Gage. And I'll be the first to say, my man is a little out there.
Gage, shout out Gage.
But
yeah, I know Gage.
He fucking sees your shit, and I believe the kid. I don't know.
There's a bunch of different reporting sites that you can go to. We never really hear much of this stuff in the main news unless it gets, like with this thing that happened yesterday, that the outlets pick it up. It's a big story. Everyone's talking about it. But I think it's just something that, I don't know.
I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, there's been sightings everywhere.
Yeah, but if you go to some of these sightings sites, you can see, because people won't talk about, some people will see something and won't even say anything.
Right.
But you can go up and you can look at certain nights and go, okay, 5 different people saw the same thing I saw. It kind of makes you feel a little bit better that you're not going
my man
crazy.
Gage is crazy. He'll come and put it on Facebook right away. Like, yo, I just seen a fucking thing.
Actually, you know
He's
what?
He's not a liar, so.
I just thought of one morning, I was driving my ex to work, and I used to have to take her to work at like 4 in the morning, like crazy early when it was pitch black. And this was probably like 2 years ago or maybe less. And this one morning I was driving and I did see something shoot in the sky. And I was like, wow, what the hell was that? It kind of freaked me out. And then I went home and I was, trying to search everywhere on the internet. And the only thing I could find was that people were saying it might have been a comet.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it was like
a
comet.
But was it like lower in your view or up in the sky? Like
it was like, I think it was like up in the sky, and it seemed like it was like shooting down almost. You know what I mean? It was a little while ago. I wish I remembered it more.
That's just in Leominster and Fitchburg area the past couple of weeks, there have been sightings of similar to that, like a fireball, and it's like it doesn't look like a comet where it's like so fast that you kind of see it and you don't like physically keep it, see it going across. What is that? This one
wasn't quick. Yeah, this one wasn't quick at all. So, I mean, it's crazy, bro. Yeah. I'm definitely curious to see what's going to happen in the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
With better technology, better phones, videos, everything.
Yeah. I would really love to see, oh my God, I would love to see either like ghosts confirmed,
give me something,
afterlife confirmed, or or aliens confirmed.
And even if we do, there's still going to be a patch of people that are going to go, no, I don't believe it. Yeah. Like this, it's right there. Nope, still don't believe it. You know.
I wanted to ask you this too about the. I want to ask you about Men in Black. There's real life Men in Black.
Yeah, you think so?
I've seen a video before on YouTube that was like the people could not fucking explain it. We're like these two fucking dudes, super tall, like over 7. They said like about 7 feet. They look the exact, almost like twins. Black trench coats all the way down, glasses on. Something they said if you couldn't look in their eyes, they were like all black or some shit. Look this shit up. But I was bringing it up outside to Ronnie and he said that like Men in Black is a thing, and you had a story too.
Yeah.
Like to confirm this shit. I mean, you don't have to say the exact story, but you could say like
experienced something that seemed a little odd, but like the Men in Black people, there's a couple of theories that they are government and that they show up when people have UFO sightings, and they're there to kind of tell you to shut up or whatever.
But not that are dressed the same exact height with shades on, all this shit. Like there was like non-human things about them. They said on that YouTube.
Yes. So the are they government agents? People also believe, are they aliens themselves?
Yeah.
And that might be the case. There's also theories of them being time travelers, because people see them, they have a UFO sighting and whatnot, and all of a sudden this, like, they're dressed up, these Men in Black, 2 guys show up, they're wearing glasses, they talk very monotone, and like, you can tell they look different, and something's really off. They've looked outside, they see this 1950s black Cadillac, and they're in the desert, but the thing looks like it just got cleaned.
What the hell?
And just then they're gone. They're in and out. I mean, there's so many stories of researchers, UFO researchers encountering these guys.
I'm gonna watch this whole video.
Is that the one that's like 9 minutes or whatever?
It's the creepy real life. Just Google.
Is that the hotel footage?
Men in Black.
Yeah, Google real Men in Black. You'll see these fuckers.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fact, crazy. Man. We do not know 1,000% how this universe works as far as dimensions and physics and astrophysics. So I mean, who knows, man? Maybe there is already time travel going on, which would be crazy.
Have you heard of the Mandela effect?
No.
So the Mandela effect, everyone believes or kind of remembers. Remember Nelson Mandela? He might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. People remember a couple of versions that he died in prison, and then people remember that he got out. And there's a whole thing about when you have time travel that you alter the timeline and you kind of tweak things a little bit, and some things are off. And so if you research Mandela effect and look at the different things, like people like say a cereal was named this, but then all of a sudden it changed, and like the Berenstain Bears was like a cartoon.
I remember them.
So there's 2 different versions. There's the Berenstain Bears, Stein, and then Berenstain Bears. And people are like, no, this one never exists, but this one did. And so there's countless examples of that where just a little bit of a shift, and you go, whoa, I remember it being like Jiffy instead of Jif. Things like that, you kind of go, it gives your brain a hard time to kind of like connect it. But more and more, that's a new theory that people are talking about. That is this an example that someone's been playing around with time travel, that it's actually altering our timeline to some extent by just changing things.
You might have lost me with that one, but I'm still with you. I'm still with you though.
Yeah, that one seemed a little.
That was a little crazy.
So real, do you have something?
Yeah. This dude Stiz Grimy had a major week this week.
Oh yeah. I dropped. Thank you. I dropped Thorazine Shuffle.
Dropped a new single, new video.
Showed it to DMC.
So DMC,
that was amazing.
Run DMC came through he gave you the cosign. I seen the footage.
Yeah. That shit was
I was
heavy.
listening live actually.
Yes.
So what was that like
Thank
having
you.
DMC right there with you?
That was very, very dope. Yo, when he walked in, I
was
like,
he lying
oh
or did he
my
really
God.
feel it?
Nah, he was fan. He gave me his
I could
contact info and everything, and was like,
Dope,
"Yo,
dope.
send me more music," you know. But it, you know, it's just crazy. Like in Snuk, you can definitely relate to this. You know, people think like, oh my God, so you're gonna go to Hollywood now, right?
Right,
Like,
you're
and
just
it's
gonna
like,
leave the you got in
like,
DMC's car and left with him.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't work like that. You know, very, very rarely is it like, you know, you spit for someone and they're like, oh my God, that's it. Yeah, you're gonna be a star. Like, you know, J. Cole tells this story and I'll never forget it. And J. Cole's this like rapper that's out now and he's like kind of younger and he tells a story about how he was rapping, he was going hard, and he met Jay-Z. And he gave Jay-Z his demo. And he was like, dude, he's like, I gave Jay my demo and I thought, I am out of here. I'm gone. Like, this is crazy. And, you know, like Snuk, JB and Jay was just like, all right, cool.
Right.
Just took it and then left and that was it. You know what I mean? That was nothing. And then Cole, you know, it really hit him hard. He was like, fuck, you know, I thought that was my chance. Like, what am I going to do now? But he just kept grinding, and then got a meeting.
Good. So you're not
Jay-Z.
expecting to be on Run DMC Records tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
But the dude was fucking with you, gave you the info.
Yeah.
That's a friend.
It's awesome. And you know
could
what?
Be a future friend. You
no
know what I'm saying?
no matter what happens with this music stuff, with my music career, there has been certain moments where no matter what happens, that moment was so good and was so like fulfilling.
And it was captured on video.
And it was like, so the DMC moment, like being, you know, having my own article in the Boston Globe, being on stage with Terminology when he's doing Watch How It Go Down. Because I remember when I was just a fan, bro, and I couldn't imagine being on stage with you guys while y'all were rocking. Like I didn't know how I would get there.
Right.
So like, you know, so it is what it is. But we got to wrap it up in a few minutes. So real quick, touch on the Tom DeLonge thing, because he's out here and he's like a big celebrity. Tom DeLonge is the dude in Blink 182.
Oh, right.
Pretty big band. Travis Barker's in there.
He's big into certain shit, right?
Tom is like on a mission now for some reason, saying the aliens.
So he's made some serious connections over the past couple of years with NASA, with the CIA, with the Pentagon, and some of these people have recently left their positions at the Pentagon, and they joined him to start this company called To the Stars. It has a couple different missions, and one of the goals is actually to create this free energy kind of vehicle that would help us to traverse to the stars. And the people that he put together are the ones that actually could pull this thing off.
Right.
Yeah.
The other element of this whole thing is to shed light onto the whole UFO mystery. And one of the guys that was the head counter CIA guy for the Defense Department came out and said, UFOs, this was last week, UFOs are real. It's not us. There's something to it. And so they want to help bring disclosure is kind of what they're talking about in a way that I think it's been kind of stumbled with them, the government, to come and bring disclosure. So Tom DeLonge basically said, look, I have a voice. I'm, celebrity. Let me help to bring this in a certain way. He doesn't feel everyone should know everything, but he feels like, we need to have a little bit more light on what's kind of going on. So I think just with that itself, people are kind of like scoffing. And yeah, he's making a company. He's trying to make money too at this whole thing.
Of course. Yeah.
But I think there's another element to it. And I think hopefully more and more people will kind of follow his bandwagon to kind of help push this forward. But he's got the players to make this thing.
Do you think we landed on the moon?
I think we do, but then you kind of, all these different conspiracy theories about Stanley Kubrick filmed it in the studio and where we were at that time.
If you see the connections between that movie, The Shining, and the moon landing, it's very crazy. So a lot of people say that Stanley Kubrick, who did the movie The Shining, also filmed the Apollo footage that we see of us going to the moon.
Crazy, I heard that. Yeah.
And if you watch the movie, for instance, the little kid, Rad Ram, that little kid, the little boy in the movie, his sweater that he's wearing is a rocket ship, and it says Apollo 1 or whatever that moon thing was. Okay, and the room that he keeps going to, like the very evil room, and then at the end Jack Nicholson goes in that room and that fucking crazy ghost comes out of the tub and starts walking towards him. That room is 237, and the moon to the distance from the Earth to the moon is like 237,000 miles.
Wow.
And
Little
those are
clues.
just two very small clues. There is a whole documentary.
So you think they landed or no?
I don't know. So the moon is the moon is 237,000 miles away from Earth. We've never gone more than like 50,000 miles away from Earth since that point.
Yeah, I know.
We've never gone.
Yeah, why haven't we been back?
Why haven't we been back, and why have we not gone even close to how far that is? Because it's fucking far.
My biggest problem is looking at the photos, and there's no stars in the sky. It's just pitch black. If you look at those pictures, and I've always kind of like, what do you see? You know, you see Earth up in the
way the flag is supposedly looks like it's shaking in the wind. There's no fucking gravity on the moon, so why would it be shaking?
I heard that part before. Yeah,
right.
And then the other thing I kind of want to end it on is we were talking about the International Space Station. I was watching some shit about that, and they're already talking about people like the Branson dude who owns the company Virgin, and then the Tesla dude,
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. They are already building companies that are
recolonization.
Well, that and just tourism to outer space, where you will be able to, like, just like you would buy a ticket on a plane and go to Florida, you would be able to buy a ticket on a spaceship and go dock at the International Space Station and spend a week and then come back down. I definitely think we're going to see that type of shit.
Wasn't your boy Lance Bass trying to do some shit like that a few years ago?
I think you're absolutely right. Yes, he was. The NSYNC dude, Backstreet Boys. I don't know. His posters are all over my room, though. I love them. I really do. So
hold on, Stiz. What about music?
Music, what's up? Please go get Thorazine Shuffle. It's on iTunes and YouTube and Facebook. Watch that, please.
So for music, the only thing for me this week, yesterday, or by the time this drops, a few days ago, Migos dropped the shit with Nicki and Cardi B.
Yes, Cardi B and Nicki on the same track.
The second it dropped.
Who got who?
So that's the second it dropped. People are already hitting me. Yo, who won, Nicki or Cardi? So
I haven't heard it.
I've heard it twice.
Okay.
When you start getting through Cardi B's verse, you're like, oh shit, because she has some dope lines, especially early on. She turns Offset on. That's a dope line.
Yeah.
And then so I'm like, shit, I think Cardi might take this. And then Nicki comes in.
Bodied.
And the first half of Nicki's verse, you're like, oh shit, Cardi B took Nicki, but then Nicki turns it on at the halfway point. I think Nicki took it. She flamed at the end, but it's not a competition between these two. They're on the same song. It's a dope record. I personally fast forward it's always competition if you're an MC, but I fast forward the Migos shit and I just went right to their verses to see who won.
All right, and then real quick off that, Offset proposed to Cardi B last night on stage. Is he her for doing that? Do you wife up a hoe? So Cardi B is this new rapper that's out now. She's a stripper. She was a stripper forever.
Oh, wow.
She would just be like a traveling stripper that was like kind of famous and would come to cities and get crazy money.
They're also both on top of
the
world right now. So it could is it real, the fucking marriage, or some publicity shit? Yeah, like if she has the number one song in the world, they have the number one song every fucking other week or whatever. Migos. And so it's like, I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to do the power thing, the J&B thing. Not that they would ever be on that level, but
I'm very happy you said music because Eminem is back, motherfucker! The king is back!
The second Paul Rosenberg dropped fucking
King
whatever.
Mathers!
Stiz hit me immediately. Yo, you got to see this. It's fucking so it's like
Eminem's manager put out a picture
super clever
the other night on Instagram. 2 nights ago, he put out a picture on Instagram. All it was him holding up an album, right? And it was this dude Yellow Wolf, who is also signed to Shady Records.
Yeah.
It's his new album. So Paul was holding up the album like this. And so Shady Records is in New York, so the window was right there of the office, and you could see buildings across the street or whatever. On the building across the street, in the background of this picture, there was a billboard on the building, and it was an ad for what looked like a medication,
a
pharmaceutical thing, right? And it said Revival, and it had like a woman on it looking all just like a fucking any advertising you would see.
I read the whole shit.
So smart, like what people noticed is that the E in Revival was backwards.
The backwards Eminem,
which is the famous Eminem icon.
I'm looking at it right now.
Bat symbol,
mad long too, and you go through and it's like.
It's all. So then people really started to be like, wait a minute. So that you start Googling Revival, you find a whole website, askaboutrevival.com. It's this whole thing all set up to be like it's a medication.
Yeah, it's like
but
official.
There's simple, there's little clues like side effects, brain damage. That's a famous Eminem song.
Right.
There's a lot of lines in there that talk about you know, you don't ever have to lose yourself again, which is Lose Yourself. It's a famous Eminem song.
Yeah.
Then there is a number on that website. So it says, like, for more information, call 1-800-REVIVAL, whatever it is.
Okay, you called the number?
I called, of course I called the number.
When Stan becomes
My
Stan.
name is Stan. So I called the number, and it's like, you have reached Revival. Blah, 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 blah. And it starts talking. And in the background, you hear this little piano beat, and it's the I Need a Doctor instrumental.
Ooh,
so I'm like, all right. Yep. So I think Eminem,
Third time for Goosebumps,
his new album, Revival, should be out within a few weeks. I think it's going to come out in
That's
November.
awesome.
Very excited about that. I hope he bodies it.
That's dope.
What was I going to say real quick? Damn, I forget.
Oh, good, kid.
It must be nice, though, to, like, you know, we could never pull something like that.
Not
like that little slick marketing type
yeah.
shit. Like, you know, we need to push it out to as many people and be
But
as
it's brilliant, and they do it. It's a really dope, and it's creative.
It was like
I love
Beyonce.
It.
Beyonce was fucking putting out tweets of lemonades for 3 years before that lemonade thing dropped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just think it's super smart. Ronny LeBlanc, thank you so much for
boys.
being here,
can
bro.
You hit us with your socials?
Yeah,
and I know the website
you?
as well. You got the website.
So the website's Ronny, RONNY, LeBlanc.com. Have links to all the social there, Facebook, Gram. And then you can get the book at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com. Just look up Monsterland Encounters with UFOs.
Now, is this shit for looks, or can I keep this shit?
That's yours, brother.
Love it.
Swag,
My brother.
free swag.
My brother.
We are at Stuck on Stuff. You can find us on Twitter at Stuck on Stuff, Instagram StuckOnStuffPodcast.
Happy Halloween and all that.
Yeah, happy Halloween. Be safe out there. I'm gonna give out edibles as candy, and I'm just not gonna say anything, and just see what happens. And if you have any questions,